so hands up. Who wants to hear something from experimental film? Nobody? One guy, one person down the back. Who wants to hear something else that is more specifically horrific? Okay, all right. I write horror. Horror is my meat. But the fact is that experimental film is a novel, and it takes a longer burn to get to the truly horrific stuff, unless you just find things that I have occasionally thought about my son at 3 o'clock in the morning on a really bad day to be horror. So I thought I would read from A Wish from a Bone, which is a story that Ellen Datlow selected to kick off an anthology that was published through my publisher, Cheesine, called Fearful Symmetries. Warzone archaeology is the best kind, Hind liked to say, when drunk. And Goss couldn't disagree, at least in terms of ratings. The danger, the constant threat was a clarifying influence, lending everything they did an extra meaty eft. Better yet, it was the world's best excuse for having to wrap up real quick and pull out ahead of the tanks, regardless of whether or not they'd actually found anything. The site for their latest TV special was miles out from anywhere else, far enough from the border between Eritrea and the Sudan that the first surveys missed it. First, second, third, 15th, until updated satellite surveillance finally revealed minute differences between what local experts could only assume was some sort of temple and all the similarly colored detritus surrounding it. It didn't help that it was only a few clicks comparatively away from the Meroitic pyramid find in Gebel Barkal, which had naturally kept most real archaeologists too busy to check out whatever the fuck that low-lying hill-like building lurking in the middle distance might or might not be. Yet on closer examination, of course, it turned out somebody already had stumbled over it a couple of different times. The soldiers who set up initial camp inside in order to avoid a dust storm had found 2 separate batches of bodies, fresh-ish enough that their shreds of clothing and artifacts could be dated back to the 1930s on the one hand, the 1890s on the other. Gentlemen explorers, native guides, mercenaries, same as today pretty much, without the gentleman part. Partially ruined and rudimentary to say the least, it was laid out somewhat like El Morocco, or the temples of Lake Nasser. A roughly half-circular building with a rectangular section facing outwards like a big blank wall centered by a single permanently open doorway. 12 feet high by 5 feet wide, no windows though. The roof remained surprisingly intact. This whole area was underwater a million years ago, Hind told Goss. See these rocks? All sedimentary, chalk, fossils, bone bed silica, and radiolite. Amazing any of it's still here given the wind. Must have formed a channel or a basin, but no, that doesn't make any sense either, because the inside of the place is stable, no matter how much the outside erodes. So they quarried stone from somewhere else, brought it here, shored it up. Do you know how long that would have taken? Nearest hard rock deposits are like 500 miles that way. Besides, that's not even vaguely how it looks. It's more unformed, like someone set up channels while a lava flow was going on and shepherded it into a hexagonal pattern, then waited for it to cool enough that the upthrust slabs fit together like walls, blending at the seams. What's the roof made of? Interlocking bricks of mud, weed, and gravel, fixed-baked in the sun, then fitted together and fired afterwards from the outside in. Must have piled flammable stuff on top of it, set it alight, let it cook. The glue for the gravel was bone dust and chunks marinated in vinegar. Seriously, Goss said, perking up. Human? This necropolis or what? We don't know to either. Outside, that new chick, Camberwell, the one who'd replaced the massive Eurasian guy they just called Gojira, rumored to have finally screwed himself to death between projects, was wrangling their trucks into camp formation, angled to provide a combination of lookout, cover, and windbreak. Moving inside, meanwhile, Goss began taking light meter readings and setting up his initial shots, while Hind showed him around this particular iteration of the "Oh God, can such things be?" traveling roadshow. Watch your step, Hind told him, all but leading him by the sleeve. The floor slopes down, a series of shallow shelves. It's an old trick designed to force perspective, move you further in, develop a sense of awe. Goss nodded, allowing Hind to draw him towards what at first looked like one back wall, but quickly proved to be a clever illusion. 2 slightly overlapping partial walls, slim as theatrical flats, set up to hide a sharply zigzagging passage beyond. This in turn gave access to a tunnel curling downwards into a sort of cavern underneath the temple floor, through which Hind was all too happy to conduct Goss, filming as they went. Take a gander at all the mosaics, Hind told him. Get in close. See those hieroglyphics? Is that what they are? They look sort of organic, almost. They should. They were once fossils. Goss focused his lens closer and grinned so wide his cheeks hurt. Yes, fucking yes, they were. Rows on rows of skeletal little pressed flat, stonified shrimp, fish, sea ferns, and other assorted what-the-fuck-evers. Painstakingly selected, sorted, and slotted into patterns that started at calf level and rose almost to the equally creepy baked bone brick roof, blending into darkness. Jesus, he said out loud. This is gold, man. Even if it turns out you can't read them, this is an Emmy right here. Hind nodded, grinning too now, though maybe not as wide, and told him, wait till you see the well. The cistern in question, hand dug down through rock and paved inside the slimy sandstone, had a roughly 20-foot diameter and a depth that proved unsoundable, even with the party's longest reel of rope, which put it at something over 61 meters. Whatever had once been inside it appeared to have dried up long since, though a certain liquid quality to the echoes it produced gave indications that there might still be the remains of a water table, poison or pure, no way to tell. Lingering at its bottom, there was a weird saline quality to the crust inside its lip, a sort of whitish, gypsum-esque candle wax dripping formation that looked as though it was just on the verge of blooming into stalactites. Far more interesting, however, was the design scheme its excavators had chosen to decorate the well's exterior with, a mosaic, also assembled from fossils, though in this case the rocks themselves had been pulverized before use, reduced to fragments so they could be recombined into surreally alien patterns, fish-eyed, weed-legged, shell-winged monstrosities, cut here and there with what might be fins or wings or insect torsos, halved, quartered, chimerically repurposed, and slapped together to form even larger, more complex figures, of which these initial grotesques were only the pointillist building blocks. Step back far enough and they coalesced into 7 figures looking off into almost every possible direction, save for where the southeast compass point should go. That spot was completely blank. I'm thinking the well chamber was constructed first, Hind explained, here under the ground, possibly around an already existing cave, hollowed out by water that also no longer exists, as though through limestone that shouldn't exist, after which the entire temple would have been built over top to hide it, protect them, the statues. Hind nodded. Are those angels? Goss asked, knowing they couldn't be. Do they look like angels? Hey, there's some pretty fucked up looking angels, is what I hear. Like rings of eyes covered in wings, or those four-headed ones from the X-Files, or the ones that look like Christopher Walken, Gabriel in the Prophecy. Viggo Mortensen played Satan. Goss squinted, but these look sort of like Pazuzu. Hind nodded, pleased. Good call. 4 wings like a moth, definitely Sumerian. This one has clawed feet. This one's head is turned backwards, maybe upside down. This one looks like it's got no lower jaw. This one has a tail and no legs at all, like a snake. Dude, do you actually know what they are, or are you just fucking with me? How much do you know about the terrible 7? Nothing. Excellent. That means our viewers won't either.